So what do we have here? This is the Chargemaster Supreme. I'm really excited to get this because, well, see that thing right there? This guy. This is the second scale like this that I've owned, which I really did enjoy when it worked. But this bastard, it's it's been causing me to get some flyers. And finally, I broke out my old beam scale, this Lyman scale. 1 second, stand by. Here we go. My old Lyman scale. This thing's older than I am. I think it was originally made by Ohaus, or however you pronounce it, and that could be wrong. But it's an old beam scale. It's always been trustworthy, but let's face it, it's slow. And in this modern day, like we like things to be quick, but also I'm babbling at this point. Long story short, I still have the beam scale. I'm going to keep the beam scale. However, now I have this to play around with because I'm always a tinkerer. I've let it warmed up, I've calibrated it, and now I have my check weights here. So let's do some check weights, and then maybe we'll actually get around to throwing some charges. So the scale is in grains. God, can you guys see that? Okay, 771.5.6. That's fine. I would have to do the conversion in my head, so maybe that was a stupid idea. So let's get on with these check weights. Where'd I put those? Here we go. I believe each one of these is 20. Hard to maneuver. Oh my God. So let's put these 20 grain check weights on there. So here's one. 20. There we go. Let's see if I can hold the camera like this. So that's very good. And I guess let's check for repeatability. 20. Let's add the second one. 40. Stable. Perfect. And let's trip it up a little bit. I have a 0.5 grain. Here we go. Marvelous. So now, one thing, part of the reason why I threw down for the Chargemaster Supreme is that you can see here, if it focuses, you're gonna have to take my word for it. This button, it says learn. So similar to the Frankfurt Arsenal and Teledropper, it will learn the powder that you're putting through it. That's what I'm going to do now. I'm trying to be smart here and read the instructions. So it looks like you pour in the powder and then you hit learn for 3 seconds. So let's do that. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Let go. So when it's done with test 1, we dump it in and we'll do test 2. Wow, that's surprisingly quiet. Empty. Okay. And then press enter. I'm assuming it means go. Wait, no, enter. There we go. Test 2. Never assume. When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, right? Oh, there's my dehumidifier kicking on. Yeah, my dehumidifier is louder than this thing. Okay, empty. And then enter. Test 3. Oh. I thought I just saw a couple kernels. I thought I just saw a couple kernels jump out. Looks like I was mistaken. So empty. So this should be test 3. And then this is end. And it returns back to normal. So let's go ahead and put the top back on. I need to remember the approximate charge weight. So this is 4350 for IMR. Standby. I'm going to turn off my... So when I looked up the charge weights for accurate 4350, I remember for Enduron 4451 I used 40 grains. I think the maximum charge, I could turn around and look, was about 43. I'm going to go for about a low middle charge of 41. So let's go. I'm not going to complain with that. Rinse, repeat. I'm not complaining here. Like, could I do it faster by hand? Yeah, I could, especially if I used the powder dropper. I'd be saving probably seconds. But otherwise, this is basically it. I'm literally going to do 50 charges at the same weight because I'm fire forming. And, honestly, I've been thinking of doing something a little bit crazy, a little bit back-asswards, messing with seating depth first. I've heard that there's been some other people doing that, and it seemed to me that seating depth is more of the fine-tuning than anything else, but I guess the second iteration of Scott Satterley does that, so let's give it a try. At this point, though, I've kind of shown off what I can show off here, right? Come on. Poured it a little bit too quickly. There's bridging in that powder pan. Or not powder funnel, I meant to say. I guess I'll show up to 10. You guys are probably bored out of your minds. So far, all of them. No overthrows. I guess if I really wanted to do more of a complete video... Oh, forgot to move the funnel. That could have been a bunch of tears. Maybe at a later date, I'll show different charges. Or not different charges, different powders. Because that'll give more of a complete review of what we're trying to do here and what we're trying to accomplish. Actually, that one is an overcharge. So stand by. I'm actually going to set up the beam scale. Let's compare it. So just dump the powder in the pan. 41. A little bit kilter, but whatever. It's not going to affect much. Look at this. Right on. So I couldn't be happier. Let's, just for funsies, hopefully I didn't drop any kernels. It's back to 41. So yeah, that's marvelous. I need to double check that I didn't drop this charge already. Yeah, there's a charge in there. Woo, good thing I checked. Okay, so we're still talking about the RCBS Chargemaster Supreme here. And I guess what I want to do, I want to change the subject. Kind of like, why did I get this? Why did I invest into this? I don't really need to justify the purchase. I did what I did. But I like to tinker, but also I am getting more into plinking. I need to practice more. I plan on competing more. And although I'm one of those people that I probably shoot to reload, I do enjoy shooting. I really do. But I also thoroughly enjoy reloading. Like, even though I don't really care for trimming, that's something I do. Like, you can see right back there, my L.E. Wilson hand trimmer. Like that, I don't have a Giraud. I don't have the Lyman, the one that indexes off the shoulder. That's actually the Power Trim Express, I think it's called. If I just wanted to get it done and over with, yeah, I'd definitely buy one of those. It probably would help, and maybe in the future I even might. But for now, I like the versatility and I love the accuracy of trimming that by hand. And I don't mind it because, like I said, I genuinely enjoy reloading. I don't guess I'm just one of those weird people. However, I do plan on getting into competitions, so I do need to do more shooting. So I have to do some time-saving measures. I need to be more out the range and less at the reloading table. And time is at a premium. I'm a new father, so yeah. Anyway, so my old process, one way I sped it up is by buying just one of those electronic scales. They really do help you speed up because a balanced scale, just by the nature of it, you got to make sure that those two lines line up, and it can be a time-consuming process. You can, if you're really quick and proficient, you could probably throw a charge in under 10 seconds if you really want to, but, probably 20 seconds is a little bit more realistic. Anyway, getting too much in depth. I also have one of these that help me speed up my process because once you find a load and you get dialed in, here you go. You can just drop a bunch, especially if it's a ball powder like this Shooter's World Match Rifle. Once you get it dialed in, the only time I get something that's inconsistent is if I mess up my powder throw, because you do have to be very consistent with your technique when using one of these. Otherwise, when it comes to ball powders, even if you have something that's considered, I dare say, lesser, like one of these RCBS, I think this is a UPM3, so this is the latest rendition they have of it. Yeah, that thing was only $100, whereas this thing, oh God, I think they're like 200 now. I know I bought it for about 160. Still pretty expensive for your average shooter, but it definitely helps speed things up. And if you really want to get accurate loads, you drop it so it's a little bit lower, and then you just trickle it up. It's you can do things pretty quick that way. However, it's hard to be accurate if you have a bad scale. So with this, I'm tinkering a little bit, but also with a powder dropper like this, or a mechanical powder measure, however you want to word it, certain powders become an issue because ball powders, yeah, work absolutely great. And even powders like this LT32, which, let's take a look at this. Hopefully it focuses decent. I was hoping that the whiteness of the paper would give enough contrast and help things focus, but maybe it's the opposite. Maybe I messed up. Anyway, you can see here, very fine granulation, very uniform. And yeah, this throws really well through a powder measure. Like, I believe when I was experimenting, I was getting probably about a half of a tenth of a grain difference in my powder throws. That's excellent. When you get to the realm of 4064, these kernels are definitely a little bit, they're more substantial, to say the least. And then by the time we get to 4350, which the length is about the same, but the girth is, the girth of the kernels is a little bit, actually, one second. Let me gather up kernels individually and let's see if we can do a side by side so we don't necessarily mix them up. Stand by. Okay, so I grabbed 3 kernels of each, and well, ignore that one up there, but here on the left, that's LT32. It's a tiny little thing. This is why it goes through the powder dropper so well. This is 4064. So when we get to this size range, it causes hangups because basically sometimes it has to cut through the powder. But by the time we get to 4350, there's a lot of issues. Like almost every other throw, you'll have hangups. And you can see it's roughly about the same length, but it's definitely wider by about, we'll say 20-25%. That causes a lot of issues, like every other throw. Whereas this one's like 1 out of every 5 is an issue. This one's like every other throw, you're having that issue. And each time you get that hang up, you're causing issues with the consistency of your powder throw, and you're going to be off. By the time I get to this, yeah, like sometimes you'll be off as much as half a grain. So you go from half of a tenth of a grain to half a grain difference. Even if you have a very tolerant node, that's a tall order to ask. Node meaning for powder weight, not for seating depth or what have you. And now that barrel tuners are coming into play now, there's nodes with that too. But obviously that shouldn't apply. I shouldn't even have to explain that. But I know there's going to be somebody in the YouTube comments because that's how it works. Well, actually, the actually crowd. Anyway, so long story short, if I plan on using a lot of 4350 and 4064, of which I have like an 8-pound container of this, other than this was just me trying it out. I had such good luck with 4064, I bought a 8-pound container, no problem. 4350, probably going to do the same. However, I would have to hand weigh every charge. And when I only have my beam scale now, that's a problem. So long story short, I guess you could say because of 4350, I bought an electronic powder measure. Anyway, so that's kind of my mindset, my headspace. And pardon me. And if you're someone who likes to tinker a lot, like me too, where you try a bunch of different powders, maybe this thing's for you. Or maybe I should say more generically, maybe an electronic powder dispenser is for you.